Hey, Howell here. What I want to do today is a talk entitled Are William and Harry the Brothers of Antiquity? So what do I mean by the Brothers of Antiquity? Throughout history you get brothers who they start their life like the best of friends, or they at least get on, and then they become estranged and alienated from each other, and then they become enemies. And they usually kind of die, they end their lives like that. You know, it's not a Hollywood sort of ending. And I'm talking about Jacob and Esau, Cain and Abel, and perhaps Enki and Enlil, but perhaps less so. Mainly Cain and Abel and Jacob and Esau. Now, what I'm going to do is go through William and Harry's life, so that and only pull out the poignant points to this talk, so that they start their life the best of friends. Now, if you remember years ago, there's a clip where they're all playing polo. It's William and Harry and Charles are all playing polo, and William and Harry are making these sort of clean little stabs at Prince Charles. All very digestible, showing that they're getting on and they've got a sense of humour and they're quite normal. And then later in life, Harry becomes, he dresses up as a Nazi, and then he's seen with babes, and he's a little, he becomes a bit of a rebel, so as to speak. And then he goes off to Afghanistan and Iraq, and it's boots on the ground. That's quite relevant there. He's in the army, which is the earth. And then the worst thing of all is he effectively leaves the royal family and joins America, which is the country that defeated the royal family in the American Revolution, remember. And he marries a girl of half African origin, which is not, which is okay, but it's the American part of it which is relevant to this story. Now, whether the story of James Hewitt is correct or not, right, truthful, is not relevant, because we're dealing with truth and myth. I'm not dealing with existential reality. I'm dealing with the story in the media, through the filter of the media. Now, we all agreed that Lady Di is the father of Harry, but we disagree whether James Hewitt is the father, because Harry does look like James Hewitt and he's got the same hair. And that's quite important. And the colour of Harry's hair, ginger, red, is important. And the fact that he's always been seen as Harry with a beard is also poignant here. Now, if I go to the story of Cain and Abel, we all agree that Eve is the mother of Cain and Abel. But many people, including myself, believe that the serpent is the father and not Adam. So there's a different father than there is a mother, so that's a major similarity. But Cain is out in the wilderness, and he's a little wild and a little animalistic, if you like, and Abel stays at home, tending to the flock. And Cain isn't Abel. Cain is the firstborn to the serpent and Eve, but Abel is the firstborn to Adam and Eve. And Cain has no communication with God until he sacrifices Abel. It's not a murder. If you read wider than the Torah, you'll find out it's a sacrifice. He sacrificed him as the firstborn. And then the evidence is that after he kills Abel, he hears Yahweh's voice for the first time, and there's communication between the two of them. And God says, where's Abel? And he goes, I'm my brother's keeper. No, but where is he? And then the truth comes out. Okay, and he's given the mark of the beast, rather similar to Revelation 13:18. The famous infamous 666 verse. Now, And then more relevant is Jacob and Esau, right? So again, we have this different bloodline going on, because Rebecca is the mother, and she says, when they're pregnant, she says, I'm carrying 2 nations in my womb. Okay, now those nations may well be connected, or they are connected through Rebecca, of course, but there's a question about where they come from, these 2. I know that's not possible twins, but the story is an allegory. And Jacob is going to be the second born, so he grabs Esau's foot in the womb so that he can pull him back and be firstborn. It doesn't work. Now again, Jacob stays at home, tending to the flock and reading the scriptures that, not the Torah, but the scriptures. The Torah hasn't been revealed yet. And Jacob, that is, and Esau is out in the wilderness. Now here's, again, out in the wilderness, a little bit animalistic, but he's ginger and hairy, right? Now, when Esau comes back from the wilderness, he's starving, absolutely starving, and he can't. And Jacob offers him this lentil stew, red pottage stew, in return for his birthright as being the firstborn. And he's so starving that he gives it up. He gives up his birthright. Esau gives up his birthright. But there's another stage where he's got to get the blessing of Isaac, the father. He's the son of Abraham, to get the birthright. Now, this is important because Jacob later becomes Israel. And that's the line of the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel. And Esau becomes the father of Amalekite, or the Amalekites, or the Edomites, the Gentiles. So it's quite significant story. Now, what Jacob then does, while his mother watches and agrees, that's Rebecca, is he dresses up as Esau. So he finds these animalistic, red, furry outfit, and he crawls up to Isaac, and Isaac can feel the fur, right? I mean, the colour is not relevant because Isaac is blind now, but yeah, and he feels the fur, the hair, and he goes, oh, Esau, my son, have my birthright. There's your birthright for being the firstborn. And he gets, and then he's offered unwittingly the birthright to Jacob, and that is an apex within the Torah. It's in Genesis, and so you can see the similarities there, glaring similarities. Yeah, I'm carrying 2 nations in my stomach that become 2 different nations. Yeah, so different bloodlines, but they're connected. It's the same with Cain and Abel. The parents are different. One is animalistic, one is out in the wilderness. Where's Harry? Harry is red-haired and he's always hairy, and he's out in the wilderness, boots on the ground in Iraq, boots on the ground in Afghanistan. Now there's another story of Enki and Enlil. They're the Sumerian texts. They're the sons of, it's this Anunnaki. And there are many different stories of it and interpreted many different ways, but Enki is Lord of the earth and Lord of the sea, but Lord of the earth more relevant here. And Enlil is Lord of the air. And Enki is seen as bad, evil. He's the serpent in the Garden of Eden, the creator of humanity. And Enlil, as slaves, he creates them as slaves. And Enlil never agrees with creating a slave race, and he never agrees with humaniciding them at the end, because Enki thinks that they're an abomination and they should be wiped off the face of the planet. And Enlil wants nothing to do with it. And so some people will see that Enlil is representing good and morality, and Enki is evil. That's one interpretation of it. But where's Lord of the Earth? Well, where's Harry? Boots on the ground in the army, Afghanistan, Iraq. And where's William? He's in his helicopter in the air as the eagle, just like Enlil, Lord of the air. Now, I'm not saying that William and Harry are brothers of antiquity, and that the media have been through the occult have have groomed their life and twisted and turned it such. I'm just sort of saying the similarities are quite alarming, and I know that if you're looking for it, you'll find it. But it was really in my face when I looked into this. I mean, there are like Romulus and Remus are the two brothers, but that is a different story altogether, I think. And I just sort of found that the similarities were too much to ignore. And I try to be empirical about things, but I do embrace the odd conspiracy theory here and there, especially when the official story doesn't match, doesn't fit up. So there is my story, entitled very much a question: are William and Harry the brothers of antiquity that we read about so much? And thank you very much for joining me.